It's time!
It's time for my favorite part of the week, and probably yours too. If you're watching Entertainment Dudes at all, you absolutely look forward to seeing and hearing this incredible show. And we have got this part 2. Oh, what's this? Oh, Marvin the Martian. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing there. In case you missed last week, please go back and check out last week. We have Janet Ivey on the show, and she's an incredible producer, writer, actress. She's the CEO of Janet's Planet. Yes, a creative genius of her own mind. So we have her on for part 2. Thanks for joining us for part 2.
Thank you.
Entertainment Dudes, Janet's Planet.
So when did you guys start this thing?
We started it a year and a half ago, I think.
About a year ago. We started it much longer, but we didn't launch it until a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Or a year ago.
Because Cam and I started working on the Dave Ramsey show together. Yeah. And I was the content producer, so we're doing the live show, and he was the cam op. And it's crazy because we knew so many people in the industry that we'd all worked together. But for almost 15 years, and I'd never met him, and he'd never met me. And when we met, it was like a light came down from heaven. I'm absolutely 100% convinced Cam actually has wings, but he just keeps them hidden.
What?
Yeah, because angels have wings.
I'd be flying over to see you much more than
that is true.
Now,
we'd actually see.
Yeah.
Look, how do we always color coordinate? We don't we're like black shirt.
Wearing
I love your shirt. Look at that, Entertainment Dudes. I'm telling you.
I think I need some Entertainment Dude swag. So I need to. Yeah.
I think so too,
right,
Cam.
I think so
we need to send some ETD swag.
ETD
because who wouldn't want this face and this face on your shirt? Like,
we also have it available without the faces, just in case you don't want the faces. So.
Oh, I want the
just in case you're a loser and you don't want faces. we call that the loser option. You can get the regular.
We also have it available. We also have it available like this. So yes.
Mine is dude.
Yeah, we gotta have one that just has one of the dude and one has the other.
Yeah.
Show support for your favorite dude.
Who's your favorite dude? Show support for your favorite dude. No, dude, I would have no sales and you'd have all of them. So
no. I doubt it.
Hey, angels always win. Are you drinking Red Bull? What is this?
No, I would never drink Red Bull.
Yeah, don't drink
this. Since I don't drink coffee, this is my occasional coffee, which is.
I drink this incredible liquid. Janet, you have to try this. It's called.
Water?
I don't know what it's called. It's like, it's clear, and it comes out of this little. You turn on this little knob, and it's amazing.
The chemical elements would be H2O.
Right. I think you did a music video about that, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
My music video.
Bad rapping. Oh my God.
Hydrate yourself when you're on the go. Gulp it on down, drink some H2O. It's vital for your organs and for your brain. You need it like air. Yeah, it's one of the main.
That was the most fun ever. And
oh gosh.
Kids would go, "You're not a very good rapper." And I was like, "I know, isn't it fantastic?"
That's what makes it so beautiful.
Then they were like, "But you were talking about water." So I thought, point made.
There you go.
It's happened with
you
other
got
people.
it. So Cam, I'm sure you have a wonderful question, don't you, Cam?
I do, Jason. Actually, I was pointing out Marvin the Martian earlier and so forth, and you get kids excited in science and space. Talk a little bit about Explore Mars Inc. and these types of things that you're involved in, like the National Space Society, et cetera. All of that work.
Well, again, very interesting how I got kind of involved in some of these space conferences and space entities. Back probably in around the 2008 or so, a guy named Steve Ivey had said, "Hey, my kids really love what you're doing with Janet's Planet. Do you want to do a music album?" And I was like, "Sure." And then halfway through that, we're like, "But you know what I really do is video. So why don't we kind of combine this?" So we ended up with this very homegrown, beautiful product that I was like, who needs to know about this? So I go on LinkedIn way before LinkedIn was like, kind of what it is now.
Right.
Hi, I'm Janet. And I think, who's my perfect investor? And I'm thinking at that time, Virgin Galactic. So I find this guy named Richard Godwin, who funny enough used to work for Virgin Galactic. So again, so silly. Hi, my name is Janet and I got this little planet, blah, 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 blah. And he at the time was also president of the National Space Society. And he goes, if you don't do anything else, come to our conference. And so that was kind of my first intro into that. It was how I ended up meeting the vice president of Space Florida, ending up getting to produce a whole entire thing about microgravity. And then I just kind of kept showing up and asking the question, what are you doing for the kids? I even had a grumpy science dude tell me, Janet, space is just too hard and too remote and too kind of like crazy a topic. And do you know how dangerous space is? And I'm like,
Oh,
yeah.
geez.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I was like, I've even had like some of the folks go, wow, are you always like this? And I'm like, pretty much. And like going, if you don't get me, you don't get me, right?
Mhm.
But along the way, a friend of mine that we had done some panel down in Huntsville for the National Space Society, the International Space Development Conference. This is back in 2011. So Fernars Gadaki, who's with the Canadian Space Agency, goes, I love how you work with kids. She goes, I'm going to mention you, if you don't mind, at the Human to Mars Summit for Explore Mars. And kind of was like, if she's going to mention me, maybe I need to be there. So I go to Human to Mars Summit, sponsored by Explore Mars. And again, went up to the CEO and the president at the time and said, hey, I'm here. Anything I can do and work with the kids. And really, it was by showing up. And in 2019, I get this call from the CEO of Explore Mars, Chris Carberry, and one of the board members, and going, hey, our current president is planning on moving to kind of president, kind of like president emeritus and working more with Explore Mars Europe. Would you be interested in becoming president of Explore Mars? And I was like, don't you want somebody with like a lot more alphabet soup after their name and some prestigious kind of like win in astronomy? And they were like, no, we like what you do. And I think it was, along the way, I've had a bit of imposter syndrome about like, what can I offer? Like, you know what I mean? And a guy named Pat Rawlings, who's an artist for NASA, met me one time. He goes, you know what you got? And I was like, yeah, plenty that I'm not being medicated for. But other than that, he's like, you got imposter syndrome. And he goes, and you shouldn't. And he told me the story how engineers at NASA, once he got hired, would bring him something to illustrate. And he would go, oh. And so he goes, I'd add a little something, just going, nobody's going to notice that. Then the engineers would come in, oh, Pat, that's genius. We never even thought about that. Thanks for the great idea. He goes, so I'm going to encourage you that if you are invited to have a seat at the table, you've got something that other people don't have. And people need a voice, an explanation. They need a way to connect with humanity that gives people like a reason to care about it other than just the space community. And so when they said, no, we want you. And I never expected, once I said yes to being president, that I would also preside over an organization, a nonprofit, during a pandemic. And go, all right, whatever we do now, we're going to be remembered for. So we offered tons and tons of webinars that were entirely free. We called it being alone together. And it's really been beautiful. At the heart of Explore Mars, I'm really proud of our sweet little organization. It's like, how can humanity here on Earth benefit from anything that we're innovating as we think about getting humans to Mars? And so that's the crux of the organization. We've got our wonderful Human to Mars Summit, May 16th through 18th, 2023. What year is it, right? And it's going to be at the National Academies of Sciences in Washington, D.C. And you'll hear from the brightest and best minds, and I get to have a seat at the table.
Wow.
So incredible. What a story. What a story. Thank you. So got another question for you. What would you say the kids that you learned most from the kids? What have the kids taught you?
Oh, so much. That there's nothing more important than just time and attention and presence, that what they crave the most isn't crazy big gifts, it isn't crazy big adventures, it's community. We had probably only been meeting, like I said, we met for those 9 weeks, and I was thinking, okay, at the kind of May 2020, all right, guys, well, this has been fun. And they're like, no, we can't, we need to keep meeting. And so I was like, okay. So we devised a time. And again, this is 2020, so not a lot else was going on. And during that summer, I was like, guys, it's the summertime. How about you guys show me a great kind of experiment? I'll show you a few, you show me a few, and we'll learn from each other. And at I guess, September of that year, one of our kids lost their dad to COVID. And Jesse's favorite thing was Hamilton. And Hamilton had just come out on Amazon or one of those streaming platforms. So we all gathered together on a Sunday night and watched Hamilton in honor of Jesse. He didn't join, but he knew we were doing it. And then when the kids were finally able to meet one another, about 9 or 10, 11 of them came all to South Carolina in 2021. It was like they'd been family for a long time. And even if I go back to the kids of the Opryland Kids Club, it's like, here we are almost 31 years later from the time that I met some of those initial kids. And for the last 2 weeks, we've had this big, long text chain praying over one of our members that has been in the hospital and kind of has struggled to kind of rebound from a surgery. And recently we had so it's like, to me, to answer your question, what the kids have taught me is that it doesn't, all of the big stuff that we think that they need or want, or the newest this or that, it comes down to all they really want is to go know that you're listening, that you're interested, that you love them like life, and that you're there when they need you. And, it's changed sometimes the way that I listen. I am super ADHD, and it's kind of like squirrel. And so to kind of like, I've even kind of come up with mechanisms where it's like, when I know I really need to listen, like I dig my toes into my shoes, or I hold my hands very still and go, let me not miss this moment. But I think that's been the greatest thing that they've taught me, that what they crave most and what they need most, what I need to be most for them, is simply there. I tell you,
amazing.
The best story I ever got from somebody doing it was the guy who had been Barney for many years. So it was out at, of all things, this was back in 2001. They had Barney, and so I opened up as Janet's Planet before Barney, and it was out at Opry Mills when they still had entertainment going on the stage. Yeah. So we end up being in the green room together, and here is this like super tall, super handsome African-American guy with this humongous cross around his neck. And I was like, I just have to ask, so you have been Barney for all these years?
You serious?
Like, what's your modus operandi? Like, do you love being Barney? Like, how does one become this,
Barney,
kind of inside this amazing character? And he said the most beautiful thing. And he said, you know what? He goes, when I'm inside the suit, I just try to be 150% unconditional love. And I thought, that's the secret sauce that nobody could figure out. That it was, why is this so popular? And I truly believe it's because the guy in the suit was sending out pure love. And that's
Isn't that amazing?
That's cool.
No, it's been proven time and time again, even with stuff that I've done, that I'll have kids come back and say something to me, and I'm like, what? And Mr. Rogers has a great story of how what he did to communicate directly, and how that kind of changed. Different people would get different things based on what they needed. So that's kind of kind of an amazing proposition. But I realized early that you give out pure love, the kid that's supposed to get it and needs it the most that day will receive it. So
That's cool.
pretty amazing.
Well, you can get 1 billion followers with that. Ask Jesus. Work for him.
Works every time. Works
Remember, he
every
said, "Suffer not the little children to come unto me," because he's like, I got a good show here. They're gonna love
Right.
this show. It's called Unconditional Love.
Right.
So
He's the first one to go viral with it. Right.
yeah, he went real viral with that.
You
Yeah.
went really viral. No, it's true. And it's like, we could spend our whole time me telling you about these amazing, in some ways, to me, miraculous things that have happened for the kids, but it's like, or in my life, because I go, what? It didn't seem like I was doing that much to offer except being present. And, as somebody who was never able to have children, to have like this kind of like globe of children, and sometimes being able to see things that I sometimes wonder if, when you're super close to all of it, that it gets clouded with expectation and responsibilities, etc. But yeah, there have been some really interesting things that have happened over the last 20 some odd years of doing Janet's Planet that can only be explained that, thank God, I was hopefully giving out the good stuff in the right way. And that's how a kid received it.
Oh, Janet, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
It's just, you are a breath of fresh air. You are a light in and of itself. And so what are you working on now, and where can people find you? Where's the best place to get in touch with you and see what you're working on and participate in what you're creating?
Sure. First of all, let me say thank you. And thank you, Cam and Jason. I kind of like am known for being verbose and talking, and I barely let you ask any questions. So sorry about
Love
that.
it. No problem.
No problem at all.
I get excited and I want to tell you guys so much. The best places to find me, of course, I'm on Facebook as Janet's Planet, on Instagram as Janet's Planet Official. I am on TikTok. I don't post as much as I should, but I am Janet's Planet Official there. On YouTube, Janet's Planet Official. If you really want to find out, and maybe you're interested in some of the activities that we've talked about today, go to janetsplanet.com and see that we've got a whole kind of like vertical there that you can pull down a menu and find some great kind of science experiments for your kiddos. As far as getting in touch with me, it's easy, janet@janetsplanet.com. And if you felt so inclined and like, hey, I want to support you in what you're doing, please reach out. I promise it's not going to pad my bank account. It's all going into the service of kids, and how can we get them to where they need to be. We've been able to sponsor kids taking their first ever flying lessons, that for those that are interested in becoming pilots. And the most exciting thing is, and if some super investor wanted to follow up with this, I would say yes, we're trying to launch the Janet's Planet animated series and working with a company out of Brazil called Zoo Parky. And we're getting there. So I'm going to be, when that animation finally drops, I'll let you guys know, but it's like, I will be the overnight success that only took about 30 years to get there.
Yes, every overnight success story has 20, 10, 15, 20 years of blood, sweat, and tears. That's for sure.
Yep, and passion, right?
Well, thank you for joining us.
How about we just do a classic Janet close for this episode? We'd love it.
You betcha. Let your minds revolve around this thought. The universe is always expanding. Let your minds do the same. And that's the view from Janet's Planet.